Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hi, Dr. McBride. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting this evening. How are you?
Wonderful, Christina. Thanks for having me.
I'm so blessed to have you here today. You're going to help our audiences. Yes, we do have more than one audience. We have more than one show. But today we're here with Savvy Biz to talk about leadership language of the 22nd century. How do we get better with communication and language? So important in business because if you don't communicate well with your businesses, other businesses and your customers, you're not going to be in business very long. But before we go to share all the wonderful, exciting insights that your book has and you have to offer, share a little bit about your backstory.
Absolutely. I started my career as a lot of us probably with our parents telling us what we're going to do, right? They tell us where we're going to be and what we're going to be. And, I was that, young kid at probably 16, 17 that was doing all of my family members' taxes. So immediately they go, oh, you're going to be an accountant. You're going to be a CPA. That's what you're going to do. And, as a young person, you go, okay, if that's what you think I'm supposed to do, that's what I'm going to do. And yes, I enjoyed the whole concept of numbers and processes, but I think it was more about research that I really loved. And conceptual thought is really kind of what that was about. Yes, still a numbers lover, love to crunch the numbers. But when I found out that data was kind of where the driver of that was from. And so I did, go and get my bachelor's in business administration. I didn't major in finance, though. I really majored in focusing on just business as a whole. And I did a lot of psych classes during my undergrad. And so I kept seeing this connection between psychology and business. And just kind of figure out, how do you cross over to these things, and I left it there a little bit. And so I hit my master's program. And that's when I discovered Dr. Daniel Goleman's book, Working with Emotional Intelligence. Great. And the moment I read that book, I go, life-changing. This is it. This is what I should be talking about for the rest of my life. I need to create a theory around it. I need to create a program around it. I really need to make sure people utilize this and understand this, right? Mm-hmm. Not to mention Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where we have to figure out what is it that we need? What is it for us, in that pyramid? And then how do you expand out to that for your professional career and beyond? And so for master's program, then I went into my first doctoral program, which is a doctorate in business administration. So I stayed in the business world, really delved deep into management, but kind of this management where psychology was a part of the courses and the communication. So really dig deep into that. It's where I came up with Mindset Book, right, by Dr. Carol Dweck. And you're like, oh, all this stuff is just sounding so good. It just really just kept connecting for me and understanding how business and psychology starts to cross over.
Yeah.
And so between that time and me getting my doctorate in psychology, because that had to come, right? I kept just feeling that human behavior stuff out to the point like, okay, we might as well just merge those all together. And I had the opportunity to do a really amazing research doctorate with understanding, again, human behavior. And so kind of put all that together, and how the leadership language comes out is the fact that we were able to gather information and create actually an assessment first. So we actually created this amazing assessment that anybody can take. And it really helps you understand your leadership language. It actually kind of shows you how you show up when you walk into a room.
Interesting.
And then, they get an opportunity to be able to work with us, and I can go over their assessment with them, but it really helps people start that process. So that's kind of the journey, I guess, more the educational journey. I am a native California, which is rare.
Oh, awesome.
But yes.
Now, what's amazing to me is that, when you talk about finding people's leadership styles, does everyone have a leadership style? Because some people say, oh, I'm just not a leader. I don't want to lead. Does everyone have that innate in them, but they just don't tap into it?
Absolutely. I think, I don't necessarily deem it as a leadership style as much as I deem it as an operational style, right? We all operate a different way, and we can all be formed in some category. And, we utilize 4 categories of a helper, thinker, planner, and doer. And so that kind of helps right away to be able to determine how you see the world, really how you enter into a room, how do you start communicating, how do you interact with people is based off of that quadrant of where you kind of fit. And of course, there's always some crosses of that, but really still that primary is how we all show up in the room. And that kind of then are able to morph into what a leadership style could be.
You know, that's fascinating to me because when you just said those 4 quadrants, it popped out at me that whenever I walk into a place, people have called me the make it happen gal because I'm like, I see a problem, let's fix it now. So the fix.
There you go.
So I guess it would be the doer. But so I guess everyone comes.
Definitely.
I guess everyone comes at life differently and in a different approach. And and also, I'm guessing this also helps working with your clients or customers or employees. What is their style? How do they come across in life and approach things?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So the operational style, if they take that assessment, then what the assessment does is it helps you better understand people, right? A lot of times people take the Myers-Briggs and the Strength Finders and all these other assessments, and they're really more trait-based. So they're very much personality, where we were digging really deep because I wanted to know how you walk into a room. Like, what is the first thing that you're going to interact or how you're going to interact? And so that same information can be from your subordinates to your middle management, to your executive leaders, to a whole team. And it's something that just helps people then. And so the language part of it is that literally, if I looked at those 4 quadrants of a helper, thinker, doer, planner, those are all languages. And we have to learn the language. Like, for instance, if we went to a foreign, let's say a Spanish speaking country, or even we walked around or connected with some Spanish speaking individuals, and we go in and we go like, hola, ¿cómo está? Immediately, they're going to have this sense of connecting, right? Because you took the time to learn the language. So then there's some acceptance that comes with that. The operational style, the languages is no different. So if we go to understand, if I understand you, let's say you are that doer, right? If I understand you more as a doer, then I get to have a different kind of interaction and communication with you as a doer, because then I am connecting to your needs and your values, and also being clear of the things that could frustrate you. And from that, now we got a different dynamic going on. We have a different conversation, right? Because I understand your language. So if we apply that, it would be amazing.
It would be. I've been in so many offices where so many people don't feel heard or understood, and they feel frustrated because they want to contribute, but they feel like it's being left on the table, that whatever they have to give or offer isn't being accepted. And I love this because a boss could walk in, if you learn this language and learn everyone's language, how do they operate? How do they see things? How do they approach their work? You can help them be their best, reach their fullest potential in your organization.
Absolutely. Exactly. You got it, Christina. That's it. And we can do that and apply it. And it's not hard. You know, people go, oh, that sounds like it's a lot, you know. And I'm, you know, when I meet with my clients, they go like, oh, it just sounds like it's so much. And once we have our first meeting and we go over, of course, the operational styles and the languages, then they go, oh, wow, this isn't that difficult. It's just something I got to keep in my frame of mind, right? I got to keep it in the forefront so then I can utilize it. It's really a tool. And when I work with teams, I tell them all, okay, you can't walk around calling people doers, helper, thinkers. That's not what this is about. Just like, you know, the Myers-Briggs, where everybody was, you know, EST, you know, calling people out of these letters, or the colors one, calling people different colors, you know, the disc. And so calling people D's and I's, like, no. That's not what this is about. This is a tool for you to use and for you to identify your operational style and your language, so then that you can be that you can be, of course, helpful and better at how you interact. Even though you may identify theirs, you don't go around pointing it out for everybody.
Mr. Doer.
Yes, you know, that's for them. That's their journey. Your journey is about understanding you, so then that you can be, you know, better heard, or at least I even say strategically, you become more strategic, right? In your interactions, you think strategically now because you have some more information to just make you a better communicator.
Well, This is fascinating because I've gone into, corporations and CEOs will be frustrated, feeling they're not getting the best out of their employees. And really it's just not seeing what their perspective is. And what's awesome about this is if they can get a handle on the people that work with them and their language and approach them from where they're at, they'll feel heard. You'll get more out of it. And instead of going there, you said, don't look at everyone and say you're a helper, doer, whatever, because they're not going to see life the way you do. And that's one thing that's happened to me. I've gone into places saying, there's problems here. Why are you all not seeing it? Why are you not fixing them?
Right.
Because that's what I do. That's not what everyone else does.
Exactly. Because you're walking in, whatever your operational style, right? You're walking in with this operational style of maybe a doer or a planner. Mm-hmm. And so you're seeing it from that perspective. Yeah. And so then you go, well, I don't understand why everybody else is seeing it. And I always tell my clients, because they're not you.
You're right.
Right. So let's give a little empathy. How about a little empathy? How about a little, grace in this space so we can better understand? We each should be trying to better understand individuals. The more information we know, the better we can make decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. And not only make decisions, get the most out of all of us working together as a team. Like if I'm going to expect someone who is I'm the doer, a helper, whatever the other ones are. If I'm looking at them to do what's my greatest gift or my talent, they're going to feel shortchanged, or it's going to be uncomfortable for them. If I could just see, okay, here's your best resource. Here's what you're awesome at. This is what you're going to go do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't expect us all to stay in that language though. So the one we know well is the one we know well. So we're not expected to stay in that space. Yeah. I want to stretch, right? So I want to stretch people. That's where the growth is. The growth are in the ones you're least like. Right. And so, when I meet a client and they go, oh, okay, I get it. You just want me to strengthen who I already am. I go like, no, because you already know it. You already know the language. We might give a couple of more tools of how to utilize it to really benefit you even more than what it does already. Mm-hmm. But no, we need you to understand these other ones over here, mm-hmm. right? There's always a primary, secondary, but that third and fourth are usually just not in your wheelhouse. And we steer away from that when I'm pushing you towards it, because that's where all the growth is. One of my quotes is that you got to get uncomfortable to grow.
Yes.
That's just it. I have to push you in the most uncomfortable space, mm-hmm. because that's where the growth is. Yeah. If we just keep doing what we know, there's no growth in that.
Yeah.
Great. But there's no growth.
It's funny you say that. I had a boss that really used to press me a lot. I was early on in my career and I was studying Spanish, and he said, okay, since I heard you're studying Spanish in college, I'm going to give you all of our Spanish speaking clients and you can deal with them. I was like, dude, first year Spanish. I don't know if you got the memo, but that doesn't mean I'm bilingual yet. But it was scary, but it was cool. A lot of fun conversations where we're playing, I don't know, trying to understand each other on the phone. It was really funny, but very patient customers. No, but it was a great experience because you realize, okay, you're learning this. This will put you outside of what's comfortable, but also push you to be a little bit better with communicating and understanding a different culture, a different way to, because customers, not only a different language, but a different culture.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And just going back to what we said earlier. So just by wanting to learn that language, we go back to the concept of leadership language. We go back to that language. They were willing to help.
Yeah, they were.
Right. Because they saw you wanting to learn. So if you can imagine, if we were to focus on those other two that were least like in that quadrant, people that are willing to hear that and see that you're making an effort. And so they don't give you as hard of a time as you thought you would have gotten, because you are trying, like you're really trying to hear it from a different perspective. And that's basically what it comes down to for us, is identifying what was different. Mm-hmm. How do you see it different? Because I really don't subscribe to right or wrong in things, because right to who? Right to you, Christina, is not right to me, or right to me is not right to you, right? But if we focus in on just making an effective decision, right? Gathering the information, and based off of that information, we make the decision. Mm-hmm. Now it's different, because now we're focusing on how we operate, and we're taking the information we have, mm-hmm. and hopefully going over to these other spaces and taking the information they have. And then we come up with this great effective decision instead of a right one that may just be right today.
Yeah. And as they always say, if you're traveling on a road to go somewhere, there's usually more than one way to get there. So, and the same in life. So tell me, how does this look when a client or business contacts your business and they say, hey, we want you to get us on board with understanding this leadership language so we can communicate better? How do you help them? What does it look like when you come on board?
Yeah. Well, we first have them all take the assessment. It's really important. I mean, we've done so much good work on this assessment, and it is probably the most eye-opening document you'll ever read about yourself in your career. I mean, I could be even in your life, but it really does transform your thought about you and how you operate. So we start with the assessment. It's really important for everyone to be assessed. And then from there, if we're doing it as a team, we get together and I have all these cool exercises that we do that are tied to it. So then that we bring light, right, for understanding, but we also kind of make sure those messages, like I shared with you earlier about, we can't go pointing out who's who. This is really about you. But we actually put these cool group sessions together where we kind of do these little tables of different people, right? And we try to put people that work closely together, actually. And then we do something like we give them this little bitty toy, right? It's like probably 20 pieces. It's all small little Lego pieces. And we go like, okay, you have to work as a team. You now know everyone's operational style. You have to keep that in mind, and you have to put this thing together as a team in 15 minutes, right? And if you can see, I mean, I love this because this is research for me, right? So I'm actually in the lab and I'm watching these individuals and I can see all of the different operational styles and everybody's trying, and I'm seeing the lack of communication through the process. And when they're done, and we do this, of course, early on, right? So when they're done, I give, of course, I have them report out, like, what did you see? What happened? And immediately like, oh, yeah, I saw such and such. They were so this, and that would make them a doer. And such over here was really doing the planner thing. And it was really cool to kind of see it in action. And it really allows them to see how the languages start to form and how people show up first. So we do wonderful, fun things like that. So that's how we started. And then we do different sessions where we don't just, because I don't believe in just overload, right? We have to have a place where we can do time. And so we have different sessions. We do individual one-on-one work too. And it's really good. We've been hired to, kind of help create leadership benches for some companies.
That's awesome. Many, many years ago, I had participated in a 4-day spiritual retreat. I didn't know what I was signing up for, but it was part psychological and part spiritual. But one thing is they wanted to get us out of our head about how we see the world. So what you had to do in this exercise is connect with another person, and however they truly saw themselves in the world, you were going to put yourself in their shoes and be them in a scene we had to put together, and they were going to be me. And she said, well, you're a bit pushy sometimes, so I'll be the pushy person and you have to be the really submissive person. I'm like, I'm not used to being submissive. So we started this whole skit, and halfway through the skit, we switched roles by accident. And I said, hey, what do you do? And she's like, that's my part. I'm like, okay. It's like we're having trouble staying in character.
Yeah. Right. And that's how powerful the psyche is, right? That's how powerful our brains are. And we don't even have enough time to talk about our brains and why they, 90% of it's all emotion. And we have to keep that in mind that, when people say, oh, no, don't be emotional. There's no way you could tell any human being not to be emotional, whether even a somber look is an emotion, right? So we can't say don't be emotional when that's our makeup, water and emotions.
Yeah. But it's necessary. And it doesn't have to stop you from being the best human you can be.
Absolutely not. Emotions are good.
Yeah.
It's just they're good. I mean, if you look at emotional intelligence, Dr. Goldman talks about first, we have the awareness, and that's what the operational style assessment does. It makes you aware, right? So once we're aware, then we get to understand and we can do better at connecting with the emotions and even identifying what our emotions do to other people, which is so important because we don't realize, like, sometimes passive aggressive behavior that affects the other person. The silent treatment, all of those things are things that affect the other person. So the next competency for him under personal competencies is regulation, because he says, once you're aware, now we have to figure out how to regulate these emotions, right? And then the last one is then how do we self-motivate? How do we motivate through this process and stay motivated, knowing all of this information that we have? What's our achievement drive? What's our optimism? What's our commitment? And really kind of merging all that in together and saying that that's all emotional based, but we do this every single day. And like Dr. George Geller created there's a theory around motivation. And that theory, there's a theory around motivation. And basically the motivational theory is that there's 3 questions, right? The first question, if you could say yes to any one of these questions, all of these questions, and you are fully motivated. If you're only partially motivated, then you won't be able to answer yes to them. You're probably going to answer no to some of them. So whatever thing you're trying to do, whatever project you want to be committed to, you have to first ask yourself, can you do it? Right?
You do it?
Can you do it? And if you can say yes to that, then the second question is that, will it work? Can I take it from start to finish? Will this work? Right? If you can say yes to that, then the most important for me, I think, is it worth it? And if you could say yes to all 3 of those questions, you have that motivation to do whatever you're trying to do. Now it's about the commitment and the initiative and the resilience, right? And the stick-to-itiveness that gets you through that. But you have what it takes to get you there.
You know what? I wish we could go deeper for hours, because I have to understand, let's say you have a goal, but you just don't believe that you can reach it yet. Like, I think maybe I could, but I don't really feel it now. But this would be a long conversation, I'm sure.
Oh,
so it would be.
There's plenty of those kind of conversations that I can have with you.
But this is so fascinating. I don't want to leave without everyone finding out where they can get a copy of your book and find out more about you. How could they do that?
Well, the book is still in process. We actually got the operational style assessment done first. So I would encourage them to do the operational style. Our website is www.mk, as you can see over here, mkcircle.com. So that's mkcircle.com is our website. And it's right on the website. As soon as you go there to say operational style assessment, you click it. It's a cost. You pay, you take it, and it's life-changing.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, Dr. McBride, I just thank you so much. You've given so much insight tonight that I hope it revs people up and organizations and businesses to think, hey, we need to get this so we can get on board, really understand our language between all of our people working together so we can do the best darn job we possibly can. Dr. McBride, it was awesome having you here tonight and chatting with you. This has really been insightful. Thank you so much for coming to Savvy Broadcast.
Absolutely. Christina, thank you. I really appreciate this time.
Thank you. Take care.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.